Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and it's time for me to tackle the fifth and final movie in the Die Hard franchise, A Good Day to Die Hard. Aside from clearly running out of options when it comes to wordplay, A Good Day to Die Hard also seems to drastically mix up the traditional Die Hard formula. Instead of watching as a masterful plot unfolds over a 2-hour running time, we just go to Russia for 90 minutes while John McClane and his son Jake blow shit up. It should be noted that originally the hacker in the previous Die Hard film was supposed to be John McClane's son, but they moved away from that and instead focused on Lucy McClane and left his other child unaccounted for. Until this movie. Here we find that Jack McClane is played by Jai Courtney, who wasn't the biggest name before this film, but if it makes you feel better, he's Kyle Reese in Terminator Genisys. Here, he's an estranged child of John, referring to him not as Dad, but by his first name, and complaining about how John was never there for him growing up. So pretty much the same shit Lucy was saying in the last movie, except his other talents involve driving and shooting, not making out with dudes in cars. Nevertheless, let's take a look at A Good Day to Die Hard and see where the movie series ends up. Well, in Russia, but I mean quality-wise.
Зачем тебе это нужно? Чего ты хочешь добиться завтра?
Right.
Тебе тоже тебе мешало теперь подумать.
Юр.
Oh, son of a bitch, I've got to go rip the movie again. Okay, this time we're doing forced subtitles directly to video. Okay, so we were...
И я сделаю так, что ты будешь жить так же, как и прежде.
Where the fuck are my subtitles?
Забудь ты про этот дурацкий суд.
Oh, cock-shitting ass! Okay, render all subtitles! Tell me what the fuck these guys are saying! Okay, I don't even want to think about how long I've spent ripping this fucking movie. So, let's just see what in the hell...
Зачем тебе это нужно? Чего ты хочешь добиться завтра?
Okay, back up there, double and triple check this thing. I got the fucking English subtitles. Now what in the hell do they say? You fucking kidding me?
Зачем тебе это нужно? Чего ты хочешь добиться завтра?
Right then, let's review. Our prisoner here is Yuri Komarov, played by Sebastian Koch. He's a former billionaire turned political prisoner for reasons by Defense Minister Viktor Chagrin, played by Sergei Kolesnikov. We establish that Viktor is a former partner of sorts and is willing to spare Yuri's life, as the trial is all but decided already, if Yuri just hands over the miscellaneous plot-relevant file. However, Yuri has caught the martyrdom bug and is willing to sacrifice himself for what is right. After going through so much shit, I was hoping it would at least not be something so damn generic. I know most people watching this movie won't have to go through that kind of trouble, but still. Just about instantly, we also see the CIA is already involved, as well as hot biker ladies with cleavage. Not to mention Jack McClane, who shoots some random guy in a club, saying it was a message from Yuri Komarov, which gets him arrested. In case you're worried that the involvement of secret politics from 2 continents and unexplained behaviors in the opening scenes means that this plot is going to be incredibly complicated, well, you obviously haven't seen the movie yet. You see, the whole thing about his son shooting someone unexplained in a club is just a tool to get John McClane to finally get word on the whereabouts of his estranged son. Fortunately, he has the plot-convenient vacation time lined up, and decides to take it so that he may fly to Moscow and, do something. Considering there's nothing he can offer at the trial to help his son in the current situation, and he didn't even try calling him ahead of time to get in contact with the guy, it's really hard to see this as anything but the plot putting all the players in the starting positions. Or at least it would be if it weren't for the fact that Russian traffic is evidently worse than Russian customs.
Traffic sucks here, too.
Sex? You want sex? Sexy clubs?
I know a place. Very sexy club. Young American with the same last name as you shot a man to death there recently. Strange. Point is, we establish that the Garden Ring is always congested, and yes, this is plot relevant. John is then told it is so bad he should just walk the rest of the way to the courthouse. It's fairly easy to spot being the building surrounded by protesters. Protesting the things of the stuff. Well, Yuri's there being charged with some pretty heinous shit, so it's only natural that people would agree with him. Yeah. you know, that really didn't make the situation any more confusing. Spare the fact that murderer turned incriminating witness Jack is now suddenly an official accomplice of Yuri. I presume as he seems to be moving along to rescue him, though Yuri's just kinda going with whoever isn't trying to kill him right this minute. Of course, they run into a problem. Okay, if John noticed him running off in the back and sneaking into the van to get away, how come no one else fucking did? With this in mind, Yuri tries his hand at hiding in plain sight, something he appears to be really fucking bad at, and which Jack blames entirely on his dad.
You gonna shoot me? You gonna shoot your own father?
The dark realization came to John at that moment, as he saw what all those years of father-son Nerf wars culminated into. Can't stop to chat though, because we've got to start the big chase scene, which John decides to participate in, because it wasn't like he had any other plans for the weekend. Problem is that Jack's escape window has to be executed with laser precision, something that stopping and having an argument with his old man kinda fucked up. Jack, I know your sister went around the last movie calling herself Gennaro, but you're not pulling that shit, and I have been trying to avoid confusion by referring to the two characters as Jack and John. What you're saying here comes off like, damn you, me! There's a lot to be said about this chase scene, though, partly because it's long as fuck, but it's also pretty damn good. You've got Jack trying to escape his pursuers in a vehicle too big to be fast, but powerful enough to keep it interesting. The pursuers in question, who are pretty damn well armed, and of course John pulling up the rear, trying to keep up with his son, as well as do what he can to fuck up the bad guy's day. I see, in between movies, John McClane has had plenty of practice in Mario Kart 8. Also, in case all this is too tense for you, don't worry, the writers found it in their hearts to lighten up the mood during this impromptu monster truck rally by having Lucy call John up for some mid-chase scene comic relief.
So how's Jack? Have you seen him?
Yep, looking right at him.
Oh, is he okay?
I haven't really gone up with him yet, but he looks good.
How silly Lucy doesn't understand that a chase scene is going on. Or remember that her brother was in really deep shit at the courthouse before the plot exploded everywhere. After all is said and done, John manages to run the bad guys off the road, and onto the road below, while Jack takes the opportunity to pick him up and take him with. Didn't Jack just go apeshit over his father fucking everything up? And he's in a relatively safe spot compared to the last 10 minutes, so it's not like he really needs rescue at this point.
Shut up! Shut up, John. I swear to God I will put a bullet in you this time.
Who do you think you're talking to?
The last person I want to see.
Does everyone in the McClane household suffer from a mental disorder? Perhaps where he brings him will make sense of this. Let's see. It turns out Jack is not a drug-dealing lowlife who just decided to move to Russia and make that potential punishment much harsher on himself, but in fact, a secret operative of the CIA. Or, it was secret until he brought his dad over to the no longer secret base.
007 of Plainfield, New Jersey.
McClane, shut up. Take it easy, odd job. I'm on vacation.
So this is a top secret government operation with the CIA, with a secret base, and no one is supposed to know about it. It's, technically illegal and all that stuff. No one minds the civilian just waltzing around and checking shit out. No one? Okay. Point is, while the explosion and chase were done by Shado to silence Yuri and prevent him from getting the miscellaneous file of some sort of incriminating evidence that would spoil the politician's career, as opposed to wanton destruction and conspiracy to commit murder. I mean, that's Thursday in Russia. But the problem is Yuri doesn't have the file. How the CIA thought he would have, despite being incarcerated for an undisclosed period of time, I don't know, but he agrees to lead them to it in exchange for his daughter's safety. Something I'm sure the CIA will easily be able to guarantee to the man.
Let's go.
Boom! Headshot! Or we could just break into another action scene. Obviously, this is an action movie, so that's hardly a criticism, but it's also not exactly a shift in tone considering the talking scenes were filmed zoomed way in by a cameraman with Parkinson's disease. Point is, John saves everyone, yet again, the place blows up, and then they try to figure out what to do.
What about your people at Langley? Just give them a call.
Give me your phone.
Because fuck communication and strategy? Are they going to even attempt to explain why the hell he did this beyond teenage angst at age 27? I suppose he doesn't need a phone, as his plan is to just continue their mission, which has already been compromised, by heading to the hotel to meet up with Yuri's daughter, so they can both be extracted. Fortunately, they still have access to Jack's ridiculously large stock of firearms, and can count on the easily bribable nature of the local population to avoid any run-ins with security.
Irina.
Which I suppose means she also bribed the workers to let her into the closed-off, under-construction banquet hall, and is relatively efficient about it considering she made it there before the guys who were running away from the huge explosions.
Не волнуйся, солнышко. Need a hug? We're not really a hugging family. That's right.
You know, except, of course, for...
I knew he would come for me.
Fuck all that. You know that everyone watching has the attention span of a goldfish?
There's something no good about this.
Just in case the audience is too stupid to figure it out on their own, don't worry, the movie has no problem being condescending as fuck. Plot-wise, Yuri is here for a key to a vault that allegedly has the file on political opponent X. While he digs, John probes the story of Irina, played by Yulia Snygier, I think, of how she got there so fast, slowly explaining how it is very odd, just in time for the whole place to swarm with goons.
Give me your weapons.
Led by Radivoje Bokvik playing Alec, the same character who led the attack on the courthouse and the chase scene. Of course, here, he is armed with the ever-terrifying carrot! Look out! He'll go for the eyes.
Yuri!
Do it!
Or the old hostage double-crosses. Surprise! Yuri's daughter happened to be with the bad guys all along. Of course, I kind of figure that considering we saw a woman with her height, build, and hair color with them earlier, but then again, for the last 10 minutes, the movie's been bombarding us with clues about as subtle as a chupacabra hickey, so... forget all that. Let's just get some character building out of the way.
Do you know what I hate about the Americans? Everything.
Good for you? That has what to do with anything?
Especially cowboys.
Oh, that's not awkwardly written at all. Showing just how pointless a line that is, he also randomly establishes his love of dancing, which is infinitely more interesting, despite how out of left field it is. Speaking of surprises, Jack stashed a switchblade in his sock, allowing him to cut through the bindings and initiate a sneak attack. John, on the other hand, evidently just went Hulk mode and snapped him like that, because he didn't even have a knife. This means we get another firefight while the bad guys run for their lives and introduce another weapon in their arsenal. A goddamn Mi-26 helicopter! Which gives me this sudden urge to track down and play Soviet Strike again. As we could have guessed, John and Jack break the laws of physics to survive the onslaught. Thus, the bad guys fly off to do bad things, while our heroes sit alone and have that moment. You know that moment. Our poor, broken hero is sitting there, so sad that things just can't go right. Things have gone wrong, and his plans are ruined, and he doesn't know what to do. Which makes me think he got to the level in the CIA, and things just never ever went wrong for him. But our grizzled, proven hero is there to show him the true way of the action movie star, that you just go forth and kill people until you win. They also go over the file, which no one has, but everyone is sure is bad news for Politician Man. It allegedly has proof that he was in charge of the stuff at Chernobyl, but being a billionaire wasn't enough, so he started siphoning weapons-grade uranium, which should never have been shipped to a power plant in the first place, but that's the fantasy excuse for the meltdown. And I keep finding conflicting data online over whether or not the Chernobyl disaster technically counts as a meltdown, but the point is, what are the guys going to do about this? Get a shitload of guns from the big communal gun pile.
The Chechen hangout. Owner doesn't like guns in the clubs that he's bozos leaving in their cars.
As opposed to just going to a club that does allow guns. Or at the very least not driving around with their entire fucking gun collection in the back seat. So while John and Jack drive down to the radioactive rendezvous, the Batty Brigade has already arrived, locating the lock to the valuable vault full of potentially problematic political paperwork.
Radiation has been pooling in this room for decades.
Huh? What mechanism has caused radiation to be contained so easily? That's really not the danger of radiation, more so that it kind of, leaks outward. Radiating. Not to fear, for Hollywood chemistry is here, providing us with a super soaker loaded with anti-radiation that magically means this super radioactive room is now perfectly safe.
All clear. We can ditch this hits.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Also, do you fuckers even realize what you just tried to pass off as believable? Anti-radiation sprays, making everything... If this technical shit actually existed in this world, then I might want to ask you, why the fuck don't they just fill every sprinkler system in Chernobyl with this stuff and just make the place habitable again? Instead of going right for the file of mystery, though, Irina starts talking about this nifty weapons-grade uranium they have in this vault, which doesn't sit well with Alik.
No more games. Where's the file?
Headshot.
Oh my, you mean that Yuri was a bad guy all along, his daughter wasn't actually against him, and it was all for money? Hey, wait a minute, how damn much money was that worth again?
1 billion euros worth of enriched uranium.
You can't be serious.
1 billion euros, 1 billion euros, 1 billion...
1 fucking billion euros? They already established that Yuri's a former billionaire, so it's not like this kind of money is new to him. And he's got the fucking private army, he's got how much money worth of explosions he's done all movie, not to mention the chopper. Yuri, you're in the red here with this plan. While he's at it, Yuri calls up Scapegoat to brag a bit, while yet another hired goon murders him because, well, fuck it. The evil mastermind plan doesn't have to make sense. John and Jack still have to show up to save the poor hostage, and fortunately figure out that he's not as innocent as he seems, and his story doesn't hold up.
I didn't know, Jack.
No one in this movie knows Jack. Point of it all is this train of events leads to our final climactic battle. As with most of the action sequences in this movie, it's quite a spectacle, even if the extremely limited color palette makes me feel like I'm looking at a cutscene in a PlayStation 3 game at times. Also, it does take advantage of the fact that there are 2 McClaines running around doing crazy shit to fuck up the bad guys' plans, and they both manage to feel important in their own ways.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Father and son learning that they can work together to fucking dice a man while his daughter watches. Why didn't this ever happen when I was in Bring Your Child to Work Day? However, this leaves only Irina to defeat. And I guess the writers thought that having 2 men kill a woman would look bad, so they instead chose to make her look incompetent and stupid as hell, as she goes fucking kamikaze to stop them by slamming into the building next to the one they're in, killing herself, and making for a relatively anticlimactic climax, despite the explosions. Also, this is probably the only chance I'll ever get to do this, so... What the hell?
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen.
Thus, our story comes to a close with the politicians dead, billions of dollars worth of damage, and our 2 heroes strolling out of the radioactive wreckage to take a moment to bond before they develop ass cancer.
I'm McClane. John McClane.
John McClain Jr.
So, his real name is John, but we've been calling him Jack because... whatever the fuck. I get the feeling they were actually thinking that they could maybe continue the Die Hard series starring Jai Courtney as John McClane, which would be John McClane's son, but instead of calling him Jack McClane, just call him John, because we would probably react just as apprehensively if they called him Jack anyway. Anyway, that was a good day to Die Hard. It's... meh. It's also really ironic to me that this, the only damn movie in the entire Die Hard franchise to actually be written as a Die Hard movie from the start, feels the least like a Die Hard movie when all is said and done. That's not to say it's horrid, mind you, it's a decent enough generic action movie with a simple, easy-to-follow plot and over-the-top spectacle. Problem is, it lacks almost everything that made Die Hard unique. In terms of realism, look elsewhere. Wounds don't matter past the scene they happen in, aside from a little extra stage blood as the acts continue. The witty nature of Bruce Willis's John McClane also feels almost entirely absent, instead portraying the character as more world-weary. The ending makes you feel like they did intend for Jack to sort of get the torch and continue, but he also was a grim, no-fun-allowed character. The movie simply wasn't comfortable enough to make fun of itself. Finally, the plot is the biggest letdown. Die Hard movies seem to start out simple, but eventually layers will be added, and a big elaborate scheme is revealed, and it's always about money. Here we get bombarded with political jargon that is effectively meaningless, as it comes down to bad guy versus good guy gets plot twisted to bad guy versus bad guy, and it's about money. At least that part still fit. But it was a piss-poor sum of money that is hard to take seriously. Dr. Evil was asking for more 16 years before this movie came out, for fuck's sake. And I might add that their radiation killer spray sprayed all over the weapons-grade uranium would effectively render it inert and therefore worthless. But while the movie fails spectacularly if you're interested in a Die Hard movie, which I don't see why you wouldn't be, as just any other action movie, it's okay. It doesn't do anything grand outside of the relatively impressive chase scene and how everything blows the fuck up, but it's not bad enough to justify scoring lower than 3 trunkfuls of America out of 5. It's a fun enough movie to just turn your brain off, and watch the gunfire. You know, not like how Die Hards were. Yeah, anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. And remember, don't bring a carrot to a gunfight.
It's a 2-year contract in that phone.
Now, well, thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. Fuck! Sorry. I'm gonna keep that. Thank you all for watching. I've been Dr. Shado. Fuck.